Okay, color lovers, let's get ready to play. I have the new Blend Bunny Primal palette. I purchased this and it made it to me, of course, in record time, as Blend Bunny shipping is always amazing. I don't know how Maggie does it, but I received it earlier and I've been playing with it over the last few days. So I'm going to be sharing with you 3 looks. I have done 2 so far. We're going to do 1 together today, and I'll be sharing those with you, all of my thoughts. I also thought that it would be good at the end of this video to go over, because now that Blend Bunny has 4 palettes and I do have them all, which palette is best for whom? Wow, whatever the proper English is there, that's what we're doing today. So if we haven't met before, my name is Kelly and I'm a professional hair and makeup artist. And here on my channel, I strive to keep beauty real. Real honest, real relatable, and real fun. So if that sounds like something you'd enjoy, don't forget to click subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. But like I said, we are going to be diving into this palette today. I really appreciate the aesthetic that Blend Bunny has, the quality and customer service that this company has, and they have really created some beautiful color stories. So if you, I don't know, have been off of Instagram for the last month, maybe you haven't seen this one yet, but this is the newest addition to the Blend Bunny family. And this I was really excited to get to sort of round off my collection. I do think that we have some similar shades to some other palettes, but I also feel like there are some big differences, and we will dive into that at the end of this when I sort of do, I guess I would say, comparison and talk to you a little bit about my thoughts. Now, I've had a great experience with Blend Bunny in the past, and when this new palette came out, while I felt like, okay, this isn't a need for me, it was a want. It was a want. I was excited to see these beautiful brights. You know that I love a good option in like values of depth and saturation, so I'm really excited to dive into this one with you today. So I think what I will do, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to like order all of these looks, but I think what I'm going to do is show you the first look that I did, because I hadn't touched them all, I hadn't swatched them all. And honestly, at this point, I really don't even feel like I need to put swatches in this video because they are all over the internet everywhere. So I'm not personally going to do that. We're just going to be working with these in looks, and truly, let's face it, that's really how you can tell the quality of a shadow anyway. So that's what we're going to do. But I think what I'll do is right now I'm going to insert the clip of the first look that I did, just, you know, my first impressions on the palette, and then we'll see what order I end up putting these other looks in. But I'm excited to play with this once again today, and I hope that you do enjoy. If you enjoy Blend Bunny, if you enjoy getting to see colorful looks, don't forget to give this video a like. We're gonna get into this right now. All right, I am so excited to finally be dipping into this Primal palette. This will be my first time using this palette. I think I'm honestly going for like a matte look today. I think I'm gonna do mostly matte. That's just my vibe. So I think I'm gonna like stick here in these like yellow, orange, pink, in that zone today. And we're just gonna, like I said, use some of these mattes today. I did go ahead and prime my eyes with the Jason Woo Prime Eye. This is obviously lighter than my skin tone, so it's gonna help keep these colors really nice and bright. And I really do like this primer. So we're gonna dive in, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little music for you. I don't really have much to say yet because I don't know much about this palette, but I will.
I'm kinda new with apologies. Holding back, I got history. Yeah, yeah. But the way you've been crossing the line, oh, it's something in me that says it's fine. Hoping you wouldn't change me. Got the same old thoughts, be my referee. I will be alright. Never cut it right, but somehow you make me change. Like I'm better off with you. Like I'm better off with you. Kinda used to these battlegrounds where you flee, you don't stick around, no. But the way you've been giving me time, oh, it's something in me that says it's fine. Hoping you wouldn't change me. Got the same old thoughts, be my referee. I will be alright, never cut it right, but somehow you make me change. Like I'm better off with you. Like I'm better off.
All right, here is my first look with the Blend Bunny Primal palette. I really like this look. A couple things. So Ray, which is the yellow shade in this palette, is one that I was like so excited for. It's this like lovely, like sunflower yellow, you know what I'm saying? So I was very excited for this shade, and it's the one that I didn't love. It very well could be the primer that I put on, but when I put it on, it got a little like grungier than I thought it would be, and not necessarily like in a good way. I don't know, it almost had like a hint of green to it, I think, which I actually like the thought of, but it just wasn't what I was expecting. And I think with this look, it's not what I wanted. I almost wish that I had pulled out this one, which would totally defeat the purpose, right? But I almost wish that I had pulled out Shocked. Like, I just feel like that would have probably gone a little bit better. Let's see what the yellow options are in blends. Nah, because Wildflower is more like, it's more of like a highlighter yellow, you know, where it has that like bit of lime green to it. Now, I also feel like I probably could have gotten the vibes of this look from this palette, but I would have had to use quite a bit more of the white in here to get this like blur. So it was much easier to get this out of the Primal palette, just because all I had to do was like grab these shades up above here. Again, I had some problems, and it could just be the base. I think I need a tackier base when using these shades, which is what I found from using Surge with the neon shades, is you definitely need a tacky base with those neons. So I'm just assuming that these have like a similar formula that's just a little bit more dry, because the orange and the yellow I had a hard time getting to like pack onto my lid. So I ended up, and I don't even know if you'll be able to see it in the clips, but I did end up just using a little bit and trying to like press it on with my finger after I'd used a brush, just to like try to really cram some on. That being said though, I mean, look how amazingly this blended out. I mean, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I do think that it worked out. I also think in retrospect, I just didn't know where I was going with this. I probably would start out with the dark shades if I ever wanted to repeat this look. I would start out with the dark shades and then move into the lighter shades, which is normally how I would do it, but I don't know why I did it this way. I did, but that's all I have to say about this look. I just like the boldness of this color, but I think the matte-ness keeps it a little bit more wearable, if you will. I don't even know what I'm saying at this point, but I did just want to do one fully matte look, and I'm really enjoying this one. So I will definitely be doing more looks with this palette that you're going to see right now. Hello and good morning, lovelies. I am here again with the Blend Bunny Primal palette. I think today we're going to do some blurples. I'm really excited. If you know me, you know that that's not something that I use a lot. I do enjoy the look of it. It's just not something that I reach for, but I think today this is what we're going to dive into. So I'm just going to let you enjoy the music and hopefully enjoy the look. We'll see.
Pillow talk, glitter wall, simple minds want it all. Take it off, 5 o'clock. What come the rocks? What come the rocks? Dirty socks, kitchen sink, bring it on. Drink a drink, drink it off, take it off, take it off, take it off. Rhythm and blues, sipping on gin and juice. Drinking, 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 drinking. Straight out of her comfort zone, yeah. Daddy, mama got it going on. High shoes, explicit content, yeah. Doing what we wanna all night long. Video from red button, kids are gone, lights are on now. Party in the box. Party in the box. Night is young, we are not feeling something. Feeling us too, just like rhythm and blues. Drinking, 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 drinking.
Okay. Okay, here is our blurple look. So just a few thoughts on this. Well, first of all, let me just say what I finished off my face with. I already had some bronzer on. I used my Danessa Myricks Balm Contour in medium 1. That is the bronzy glow on my face. And then I went through with the Pat McGrath Divine Blush Duo. This is Divine Rose 2. Yes, Divine Rose 2. And then some BK Beauty lipstick. This is the shade, why do I always forget this one? It's Inner Beauty, and this was in my top 10 lipsticks, by the way. If you want to see that video, I'll make sure to have that linked. But that is what is on my lips. I just wanted something kind of like lip enhancing, but obviously we've got a lot going on the eyes, so I didn't want it to take away too much. So now let's get into the eyes. So I really did, yeah, I stuck to these 2 rows. So everything, and I'm sure that I've put the shades on the screen, everything was from these 2 rows. And you know what? I actually didn't go in with anything from this deep row. I'll make sure in my 3rd look, I will make sure to dip into this row. I just don't want something that deep today. I mean, look how deep this already got. And this is just from the top 2 rows, plus of course the shimmer. All right, so let's get into some of the details of this look. Now, you saw that I went through and I was sort of building my crease first, and then I went through with the lid shade. Now, for this look, I wish that I had done the reverse, because I felt like, and you might not even see it, but I felt like I had to go back through once I was done and add more even up further, because the murkiness of the shimmer shade was kind of like traveling up, but none of the shimmer was. And that's one thing. I know that Maggie says that these shimmers really perform best with a finger. I just don't know how anyone has enough accuracy, especially if you're trying to get in here, like how that works. So I always use a brush. You do have to use a toothy brush to be able to pick these up. So that's not that big of a deal. It did lay down really nicely, but it didn't stay. Like, I don't know if you can see here, but it's not even so much creasing, it's that it just like has completely worn away any shimmer that was like right at the top of my mobile lid. So probably after I'm done with this, I'm gonna go back through and have to tap in some, I might actually have to go in like with this like deep indigo to rectify that situation, because I don't want to be patchy all day. But anyway, so then I felt like I really needed to like pull the rest of the color up. I like the way that this turned out. I just had to work a little bit more at it, and that was more the way that I started out. So usually when I do like a smoky eye, I actually start from darkest and go into lightest, so I wish that's what I had done. I mostly just laid down that first shade so that I had a little bit of insurance when adding the other shades and hoping that they didn't get patchy. I will say I did get a little bit of patchiness on this side. I don't know if this is just being my trouble eye today, but I also felt like I wasn't able to build the indigo shades up quite as much as I wanted to, or layer them. I guess not even buildability, but like the layering, because I would like layer it up and then the minute something swiped against it, it was gone again. So we know that purples can be very hard. This is not just purple. I mean, these are definitely more like indigos. Like you've got more, I would say like violety pink purples, and then you've got these indigos, so a more like blue purple, right? I like this. I think it turned out really nice. I actually have been getting into a matte inner corner, but you know, I am wishing that there was like one light shade in here. I'll get into that at the end of this video. But so far, I do like this look. I actually was pleasantly surprised when I put Pheromone on the lower lash line. And I just went through with this like random Luxie brush that I have. So it's like it's almost like a flat topped pencil brush, and I went through with it damp. That's the only shadow that I use damp, by the way. And just worked it in, and it worked really, really nicely. I can definitely see the color. I can see the shimmer. So I was pleasantly surprised with that one. So there are the ramblings on this eye look. So now I'm probably going to get you back to the first Kelly that you saw at the beginning of this video. So my other 2 looks that I have done, I did with just concealer on my eyes and without a tacky base. I am going to be using a tacky base today on the eyelid, but I do want to put some concealer down. I will say that the look I did yesterday with this palette did stain my eyelids a little bit. Honestly, that's not a big deal to me. It will be gone in a couple days. But in fact, if I had used like an oil cleanser, it might even have been gone this morning, but I did not. And it doesn't really bother me at all, but I do want to just clear some of that. And I have veining and pigmentation anyhow, so I'm just putting the concealer like more on my upper lid and leaving my mobile lid open for the tacky primer. Okay, my goal today is to use some of the shades within this depthy area, and I don't think I've dipped into the white or the black yet. I will say that I have really been enjoying using a white in recent looks, mostly, what was it, after doing my red, white, and blue eyeshadow palette. So maybe I'll do that a little bit. I really want to use some of these greens because I'm a green girl. I can't believe I haven't touched these yet. So something depthy, something green, and something maybe with some white and black. We'll see. We'll see how this turns out. I'm just gonna let you guys enjoy. I will, of course, give you my thoughts at the end.
Bright flashing by the street lights. Keep waiting till you've arrived. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Give me a reason to feel right. I keep waiting for the morning light. I let him fall. Let him fall. You need to give me something I can't hold on to. Asleep through the night after all. Debating how you live your life. Bright flashes of white light. Let it unfold. Let it unfold. Your search for the truth has begun. Believing you dream of the one.
Well, I have to say, this is my favorite of the 3 looks that I have done. I'm getting a bit of Poison Ivy vibes. How about you? Right off the bat, I have to say, everything today blended beautifully. Like, I feel like these, again, Blend Bunny mattes are so blendable. Maggie, you did a good job with your business name. So they are just so blendable and so vibrant. Like, these colors are all so vibrant. So I did, and I think that I didn't not get a clip of me putting on the primer, but I did use this Pero Primero primer from Alamara Cosmetics, and it did help. It did help. If you've seen at this point now, when I did the Blurple look, if you will, my indigo look, that shadow it just did not stay on my lid very well. And this did help. However, between starting the eye look and then while I was finishing up my face, I ran downstairs, got a coffee, etc. When I came back up, I had gotten transfer onto the upper hood of my eye from that shadow. So these shadows definitely are that emollient, kind of like slippy texture. I think the primer is going to help it stay on my lid, but I don't think it's going to help it stay where it was. I definitely would have had some transfer, so I just ended up taking a brush and wiggling it up a little bit higher, which is fine. For a halo eye, that's how I would prefer to do it anyway, but I'm just worried that, in fact, I can already kind of see a little bit of creasing starting in the crease. So again, I still feel the same way about these shimmers. They are not my favorite formula. They're beautiful and vibrant, but they're just too emollient. That's what I think. Okay, so I definitely have some thoughts on this palette, so I am now going to zoom you out. I love this look. I cannot wait to wear this for the rest of the day. I'm glad that this isn't like 8 o'clock at night and I'm just going to be washing this off because I do get to enjoy this look all day long. I will, in the comments, let you know how the creasing went today with the tacky primer down. I did not put primer all the way up here though, obviously, because I wasn't planning on putting shadow all the way up there. So we'll see. I will, like I said, let you know in the comments down below how this wears. I will say that as far as the rest of the looks, they all wore, as far as like the mattes, the colors, the vibrancy, all day long. That neon look that I did, that one, or the bright matte look that I did, that looked just as vibrant 8 hours later, and I only had concealer on underneath that. So these shadows, the intensity of them does really stay. Okay, I'm already starting to get into my thoughts here, so why don't we zoom out and we can compare to the other palettes. All right, lovelies, let's talk a little bit about my thoughts on the Primal palette after using it for the past few days. Now, Initially, when I saw this color story, like I mentioned, this was not a need to have for me. I do think that the other palettes that I have sort of encompass quite a bit of what's in here, but it isn't all the same. And I have seen a couple videos, showing some similar swatches from the other palettes, but I do think that the tonal values of these can be quite different. So in general, like I mentioned, I do love that you have some beautiful deep shades. You have some nice light, I would call these pastels, but they do have a really nice true tone to them. They aren't like grungy at all. They aren't gray based. They just have that nice like amount of white to them. I personally do also love that you have a white and a black in here to be able to lighten up or deepen anything. Is the average consumer going to utilize that a lot? No, I don't think so. But however, I don't think that Blend Bunny creates their palettes for the average consumer. Can the average consumer use these and enjoy these? Yes, absolutely. But I do think that these are primarily, to get the full use out of these, I think you would have to be a creator or someone who really enjoys doing in-depth makeup looks, or you love doing lots of intricate blending. Now, I don't love doing a lot of intricate blending because I usually like to get out the door unless I'm just feeling extra creative, but I love these shadows. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't use them, but I think to use this much white and black, you'd have to really be that person. These shimmers are not my favorite. Are they horrible? No, they're just so emollient. I do appreciate that they pick up much, much better than the original Surge formula did on a brush. I like that. I think that the Dollhouse shimmers though are a little less slidey. So these ones, I mean, they're beautifully vibrant. I love the way that this looks, but I just know that it's gonna crease on me. So that is the one thing there. I don't think I'll utilize these shimmers a lot unless I am doing something like this, like a halo eye or something where I can just put it on the lower part of my mobile lid. So I do love these bright shades. I love the saturation, the tone, the long lasting wearability of these shades. I wish that this palette, and I think a lot of people had said something similar, I wish, even from a creator standpoint, if the white and the black took up 2 sections here, and then you had the middle for maybe 2 different iridescent or inner corner shades, something that you could either use as a topper over the mattes or something that could be used as an inner corner. Unless you enjoy, I'm gonna set this down now because you've all seen the palette. Unless you enjoy a matte inner corner, you're going to reach for another palette. I have done all matte inner corners since playing with this palette, but on the regular, I will probably pull out another shade or use my highlighter shade, which I'm not wearing any highlighter, or use a highlighter shade on my inner corner. So that's the thing there. So, it is hard. It's that Goldilocks thing, right? Like, are you ever gonna find a palette that has 100% everything that you love? Maybe, maybe not. So I think that if you don't have super oily lids and you like the color story of this palette, and maybe you don't have any of the other Blend Bunny palettes, this is a great one to get. If you already have Blend Bunny blends and you have Blend Bunny Surge, it's not a need, but it does fill in some gaps. So let's do a little comparison just very quickly. All right, I've turned on my lights a little bit in hopes of not washing out these palettes, but I just wanna give you a little side-by-side here. So you can see that the top row within the Surge palette versus the Primal palette, it's a little bit more, I would say, desaturated and slightly gray toned. And that's kind of the vibe through the whole thing. You can see that second row, it gets a little bit more grungy, and especially towards those bottom rows, you can see, like, other than the neon row, everything has a bit more of that like grungy base, that slightly murky base. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing for me. I love a good grungy look, but you definitely get more of that vibe out of these. Also, you have these like UV reactive neons within Surge. So I will say they are a little bit tricky to work with. They are a drier, less buildable formula. You definitely need a tacky base with these. I would also recommend using something that is a light base. So especially if you are medium to deep skin tone, you're gonna want something underneath that that's going to really help like give you a blank canvas to work on. Honestly, also, if you have very warm skin tone, even if you are, medium to light skin, the warmth just tends to like murk out these shades, I personally think. They're fun to play with, but they do take a little bit more time. Now, I do have the original shimmer formula in my Surge palette, so these were not my favorite. They just are very hard to pick up. I probably won't ever reach for these. So yeah, I love this palette. It's a good, fun, grungy with pops of neon. I love that juxtaposition. I think that Maggie did a really good job with the, with the color story of this. And I think if you do enjoy the color story of Surge and you get the one with the new shimmer formula, while I haven't used the shimmers in that new formula in that palette, I would imagine that they are much better, probably similar to what's in Dollhouse. So let's take a look at the Blends palette versus the Primal palette here. So stating the obvious, but you obviously have much bigger pans of white and black. For some people, that's going to be a pro. For some, that's going to be a con. You also have more of an option of those pastel lighter blending shades. Now, obviously, Primal is set up a bit differently than the Blends palette, but I do think that you have more of those almost white shades. Like this top row, a couple of these, the, let's see, I would say Rome, Prey, and Luna all lean towards white. Like I have Luna on my inner corner right now, and I feel like it's not white, but it's not like green. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a white with a few drops of tone to it, which is fun. It's fun to play with. So it just really depends on what you're looking for. I think that the lighter shades within Blends are all a little bit more saturated. Now, that being said, you could also get some of that vibe by just mixing white in. But if you're not a mixer, and if you are a mixer, sometimes it's hard to get the exact same look on both eyes. You know what I'm saying? Like if you dip your brush into the white and you dip your brush into one of the lighter shades, making sure that you get the exact ratio on both eyes can be kind of tricky, and to make sure that it's really blended, like truly you'd need to like scrape a little bit out of the pan onto something and then like blend it that way. So, that would be a lot of work. So I think that there are also, some differences. Like I mentioned, that wildflower shade that's in here is almost more of that like highlighter green/yellow, whereas Ray in this one is more of that like sunflower yellow, and then next to it you have that toxin shade, which is, almost like a mix of these two together. So you could definitely get some similar shades by mixology with the Blends palette. So if you have Blends, I don't think that it's necessary to pick up Primal unless you do want the shimmers in here. And if you do want the shimmers in here, I hope you don't have oily eyelids. But, it just really depends on your preference. Now, I also think that, Dollhouse is in a whole other category, right? Like there is zero comparison really to what's in here. This is all more of your like neutrals. You do have this beautiful, like again, slightly grungy, muted out, deep category to be able to add depth to your looks. I love this. And again, the shimmers in here, they pick up better than the ones in the original Surge, and they're not quite as slippy and slidey as the ones in Primal. But they're a lot of lighter tones. You don't have any jewel tones in here, whereas Primal, I think, really does hit it with those jewel tones. And I freaking love this pink. I mean, this pink shade is so pretty. I really like this. I really like this look, but even as I'm sitting here, like I mentioned, it is starting to crease. So at the end of the day, I am not in any way disappointed that I picked up the Primal palette. I won't get a lot of use out of the shimmers, and I kind of knew that going into this, that they weren't my favorite formula. Although I do feel like in this palette, they are less my favorite than in the Dollhouse, which is a little bit disappointing, but I love the shades in the rest of the palette, and I will definitely get some good use out of it. Like I said, I'm not going to be one who wants to like, mix and match and blend a couple different tones together, and I wouldn't necessarily have a problem pulling out two palettes if there's a special look that I'm wanting to create. So I'm glad to have all of these, and of course I wanted to review it for all of you. So I hope that you found this video helpful. I definitely had fun creating these looks for you, and if you have the Primal palette, let us know in the comments down below, or if you're like me and you have all four, I'd love to know which your favorite is. I don't know that I can pick a favorite right now. If I had to pick a favorite, I think I would say Blends, just because it is kind of like an all-encompassing palette. So as of right now, but I honestly think if you ask me in a week, I might say something else. But I really did have fun doing this video for all of you. I hope you did find it helpful, and I will see you really soon.